Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. In today's video, I'm going to give you what I feel are the top 5 4K releases from January 2025. Typically for us physical media collectors, as we get into January of a new year, things start to slow down a little bit as far as releases go. We have a very busy October, November, and December. So studios, and quite frankly, I think we like a little bit of a break when it comes to getting new stuff. But that's not to say there aren't some good releases that came out on 4K for this past month. I will say, though, that at least in the last couple of years, January has been a somewhat steady stream, still less than a lot of the months that we get in past years. But I remember when the format was first introduced, you maybe got 1 or 2 releases on 4K in January. Others were mostly Blu-ray, and even that was a little bit on the low side. So I like what we have now. I think it's a good consistency. It's not too heavy-handed, and there are some really solid releases for this past month. Now, before we begin, I have to mention this is going to be my top 5 4K release list. Yours will be very different, but as I always encourage you to put in the comments section below what your top 5 4K discs for this past month were. If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, you've been eating pretty good lately, as I think most of his films are now on 4K. I think we're only missing 3 at this point. But we did get 3 in January 2025, 2 of which I would say have mixed results as far as upgradability. But one in this particular group, Jackie Brown, is definitely a 4K upgrade. I think it looks absolutely beautiful on the format. You get the true 4K picture upgrade. I think that in itself, it just means a lot to people. You get that extra bit of texture, detail looks fantastic. Those close-ups look incredible. And I know Tarantino films are typically on the conservative side when it comes to the application of HDR, but I think it's used very effectively here. It's still subtle, but it really brings out the colors. The 90s look, you get that whole aesthetic. It just looks beautiful. I stand by it. This one is a worthwhile upgrade. It is fantastic. Once again, Kill Bill Volume 1, Volume 2, not so much, but if you're a Tarantino fan, Jackie Brown on 4K is a high recommend. My next top 5 January pick is a release from Mubi that came out just a few weeks ago, The Substance. As far as the 4K goes, it's easily one of the best looking discs I've seen in recent memory. It's really just kind of a stunning image. If you are a fan of the modern digital filmmaking era, I think you're absolutely going to be floored with how this looks on the 4K formats. Full HDR, Dolby Vision, lush, vibrant colors, very bold. Stylistically, it just is stunning. It really is. It's a beautiful looking picture. And even though it doesn't have Atmos, the 5.1, as far as the audio goes, it's really kind of a heavy hitting one. It's really aggressive, very dynamic. There's a lot to enjoy in your whole surround environment. Overall, a well-rounded and one of the best 4K discs of this month. And I feel that if you're a fan of the film, definitely spring for the 4K, because just the HDR and Dolby Vision alone, I think it makes it well worth it. So yeah, check this one out on 4K for this past month. My next pick is an A24 exclusive, and I feel it's more on the subtle side when it comes to audio, but it's no less impressive. Heretic, starring Hugh Grant. Once again, another digital, modern-looking film. HDR Dolby Vision on this one. It gives you a nice, I would say, really solid refinement of the visuals. It's not too crazy. It's not like eye gouging or eye popping in that sense, but it dials in the visual palette just right. And this is a very dark movie. Black levels are handled perfectly. They look great. But the Atmos on this one, it's a subtle but really just immersive experience. I love films that utilize atmosphere. I think that, especially when you have Atmos movies that have it, this does it great. It's nothing too, you don't have any explosions or anything like that, but the subtle sound design on this is used expertly. I think it's just pretty awesome. It's a film that definitely has some character in the sound design, and I think it implements it very well. So I feel Heretic is worth the 4K bump. As of right now, I think you can only get it through A24's web store. I believe some Walmart locations might even be carrying it to a degree, but I recommend it. It's a really good experience. Picture, audio, awesome. So yeah, check it out. We as 4K collectors are in an interesting era where if a movie's released on Blu-ray, depending on the studio, we may have a longer wait when it comes to getting a 4K release. Either the studio handles it themselves or they ship it off to another label, like in this case of Shout Factory's 4K release of The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I never owned the Blu-ray on this one, so I think I was just very adamant that this was going to get a 4K release, and I'm glad I waited. I was patient enough, and I gotta say, I think I was very impressed with it. Another dark movie like Heretic, it's very just visually moody. So HDR and Dolby Vision are not going to give you bright, cheerful colors, but it really dials in the black levels. I feel very satisfying in a visual sense. So the Atmos on this one, I believe the Blu-ray also had the Atmos, but I loved it. I think it was great. Very multi-directional. When the creature's flying around right on top of you, there's a lot of great weather effects. The creaks and groans of the ship sound really good. It's a wonderfully immersive trek. So if you've been holding out on getting a 4K for this film, let me just say, it's well worth the wait. Check out my review if you want to hear my thoughts on it. So yeah, it is my number 2 pick for January 2025. So for my number 1 4K release of January 2025, I'm going to give that to Lionsgate's Snowpiercer. As of right now, it is only available as an Amazon exclusive steelbook, but I do feel that this is one of the best of this past month and definitely deserves to be on this list. This is another dark movie. I don't know what's going on with these movies these days. They're just exceedingly dark. But I do feel that it is well done as far as a 4K upgrade. Visually, you do have that balance, though. I mean, it's not a wholly dark film. You've got some great scenes where the characters are moving through the train and you get really just nice environments. And when you get to those, it definitely benefits from the visual upgrade. HDR and Dolby Vision, once again, I think really add a lot to it. Black levels are good. And I do feel that overall the visual upgrade is awesome. But this is the one where you get a full Dolby Atmos. The Blu-ray was 5.1 only, I believe. And the Atmos is just, it's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. You get the close quarter sounds of the train as it's just racing through the environment. But when things start to really, kick off, it's awesome. It really is pretty impressive. I am very happy with this one. I don't want to spoil it, but when you get to the last third of the film, there's some pretty intense stuff. It's very heavy-handed, atmosphere, all levels of immersion. It's really good. So yes, I definitely recommend Snowpiercer on 4K. It's a worthwhile pickup over the Blu-ray if you have that one. So it is my number 1 pick for this past month. So those were my top 5 4K releases for January 2025. Once again, not particularly heavy as far as releases go, but I am very much looking forward to what we have in store for February, March, and April. We're really starting to see some stuff go up for pre-order that I think are going to make videos like this a little bit more difficult going forward. But hey, that's what we want, solid 4K releases. But I'm happy with what we got in this month. And if you're interested in any of the titles I talked about in this video, I will leave direct Amazon links in the comments. But now it's your turn. What were your top 5 4K releases for this past month? Sound off down below. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.